We are Steve and Jill.
Together, we've been buying and reselling land since the 90s.
Our data-centric approach leaves our buyers asking, how can you sell it so cheap?
Here on the Land Academy Show,
We answer that and more. I'm Stephen Jack Butala.
and I'm Jill DeWit, and this is the Land Academy Show.
This is episode number 2162. Today, Jill and I are talking about the biggest time wasters in land investing. I have to tell you, I love this topic.
I got three good ones. I got one at the beginning of the whole process. I got one in the middle, and I got one at the end. So
Each day on the show,
gonna
we
be
answer a
good.
question from our Land Academy member Discord forum. We take a deep dive into land-related topics by popular request.
okay, so today the question is from Tanner, and Tanner wrote, "My wife and I are new to Land Academy. Welcome, Tanner. We are trolling for our first or fishing for our first area to mail, and we would love some input. Here is the obstacle we keep running into. We find a place in the initial Zillow fishing test, and it passes. Then we test it in the red, yellow, green data tree test, and it passes with green numbers. But then we do the second Zillow test where you leave the zip code boundary, and we look at for sale versus sold, and then it doesn't pass, and then vice versa. And then we found other places that pass the second test where you keep the zip code boundary and then look at this sale versus sold, but then it doesn't pass the red, yellow, green test with all green numbers. Any advice or thoughts on this would be great. Took me a second to figure out the boundaries and the zip codes, and now I got it.
Yeah, the answer is this. There's a reason that the red, green, yellow test has multiple checks and balances. There's the Land Academy program comes with 3 checks. One's days on market, one's new list is sold, and one is the universe of property count. So we spent a lot of time really defining what those are. Now's not the place to do that. But what's happening is one's passing and one's not.
Mm-hmm.
And then she's throwing in, she or he is throwing in boundary issues.
Mhm.
So that's even further, it's another test, and I actually kind of like it now that I'm thinking about it. But you just keep the same boundaries as zip codes. With the in between the lines in this question is this: zip codes are just a zip code boundary that the post office put together, but there's like-kind properties that might cross over that line.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but forget about that, because believe me, we've been doing it this way for a lot of years and it works really, really well. Red, green, yellow test is designed, you're testing the red, green, yellow test, and it's not giving you the results that you want, which it happens to me every single time I do it. So I go somewhere where it does give me the results that I want.
There you go.
That's what utilizing, making data-driven decisions really is. This is a good, fantastic real-life example of, I shouldn't be sending mail here. It's
Getting
not passing my
started.
tests. I'm
Yeah.
testing it this way. I'm removing the boundaries. It passes over here. It doesn't pass over here. Wherever your data is acceptable, the results of testing this data are acceptable to you is where you should be sending mail. Very glad that you asked this
That's
question.
awesome.
Today's topic, the biggest time wasters in land investing. Jill loves this. And I can tell because before we start an episode, she writes stuff down.
Yep.
Only on the episodes she likes.
Only the ones I like. The other
She-
ones I just sit quietly.
She hasn't written anything down in months.
That's great. And all your topics, I just sit there. Wake me when it's over.
Take it away, Jill.
It's like, you know what it's like? It's like Jack's topics are like the opera.
The opera?
An opera.
What is opera in this?
Just because you want to sleep through it.
Oh my God.
Sorry, I'm very sorry. Look, in my defense, we've been at this for a little while. But yeah, I'm joking. Okay, so here's the deal. I thank you for letting me go first, and I know because you wrote this topic, I know you have a lot to share too. But I thought about, all right, what are some big time wasters that I see people doing right now today? And I've got 3 big ones. Number 1 is at the beginning. They're over analyzing the mailer. There's some part Maybe it's the pricing. Maybe it's like Tanner's picking whatever. Tanner could go down a rabbit hole and spend a month on this.
Yeah.
And that's not good.
Yeah.
Now you've got a month that the mail didn't go out. Tanner could say, no, I got this part. But then you get to the next part, like pricing, and spend a month on that. People do that. Like that doesn't work. And then the last one is, I don't have my website set up, my phone number. I don't know if I like that phone number. Who's going to take the calls? We got to think about that one too before I hit the send button on the mail. What? Do I have the best cell phone for this? Do I have a good charge on my thing? I'm not sure. Oh, we got a vacation coming up. I need to plan around that too. So you could see right there, you could slow things down. Okay. So that's number one. Number two, digging too deep into due diligence. I watch people do this too. They got the mailer out, it came back, and they're spending too much time on each individual property. For example, who cares about the depth of all the neighboring wells to the property you're considering?
Opera.
People do this. I know you're falling asleep. Listen to you. But people do this, and you know who you are. You're like, it's like, you know who you are. I know who you are. Well, I do know who some of you are, but, but you can't do that. You have to limit your due diligence time, to when you're new, 15 minutes. When you get to me, 5 minutes of property. I'm going to say I don't even spend that sometimes. It's like, nope, see it, got it, I'm out. And you watch us on the Thursday member call. You know how fast we can whip through these things. So you can't dig too deep into due diligence. It's a huge time waster in your business. And the third one is people selling without help. Unless you know exactly what you're doing, you're a whiz at this. I write descriptions of it, talking whatever. I'm selling it myself. I've sold a ton on Facebook Marketplace. I got this. I know this area. We have people in there that do really well with that. And then that's okay. But if you're not, don't try to, save $5,000 and waste 6 months because you want to really sell it yourself and it took you that long to get it in there and listed and looking great and whatever. Bring in some help, because otherwise it's a big time waster when you should be back focusing on finding more great deals. Go ahead.
How many times have you had this thought in your life?
10.
I hate this class. Or heard your kids say this.
Yep.
This is the dumbest class I've ever been involved in my life. I will never use this, ever. I don't care what happened in World War II. High school history is dumb. I hate it.
A lot.
You're not there. Of course. I could look up YouTube on this thing. I'd be done with this whole thing in a half hour instead of an entire semester. My life's is terrible. What they're teaching you to do is to do stuff you don't want to do. So for the rest of your life, when you join places like Land Academy and you want to make a couple $1 million a month, you go through the stuff that you don't like without having a lot of emotion. Because the more emotion that you have when you are doing stuff that you don't want to do, the less likelihood is that you're going to get it done. So take a piece of paper, draw a line down it, forget about Land Academy, buying and selling, real estate, or any of that. Write down the stuff you don't like in life. Write down the stuff you do like to do in life. And then that should be part of your long-term goal, to get rid of all the stuff you don't want to do. Otherwise, you're going to end up having a lot big time wasters in land investing and everything else. You'll never get it done because you don't like doing it. I can tell you in great detail the stuff I don't like to do in life.
So you're going with the psychology behind it, not the actual event.
I'll get to that.
Okay.
The vast majority of the stuff that I don't like to do at my age, it's outsourced. I've gotten somebody else to do it, or chosen a life partner who doesn't have the same list I do. They don't mind talking on the phone or doing whatever. So you aren't going to do your biggest time wasters in land investing is the stuff you don't want to do. Here's my way to get over it.
All right.
I live inside of Microsoft 365, and the one component of that is an Outlook calendar. I would never, ever have made the amount of money and been able to even have a successful podcast without knowing that on Thursday at 10:30 in the morning everything has to be done and ready. And Jill and I have our butts in our seats to do these 5 episodes. It would never get done. So Outlook, the learning curve at my age all the software that we use to do this, the whole Adobe is very steep. For young people, it's very easy. Or if they don't like it, they'll find something easier, a better product. That was not, I did not enjoy learning the Adobe suite of products to do this podcast. Trust me.
You did very well.
Especially at this age. But I got done with it. I got through it. And only because it was in the calendar and I gave myself a deadline. Just like I did in the classes that I didn't want to take in college at all. So there's phrases and I'll end on this. There's a bunch of phrases that do not exist in the world anymore, but they did exist when Jill and I were younger. One of them is tough luck.
Yeah.
Tough luck, you don't want to go to high school history.
Not my problem.
Nope. Tough luck, you don't want to answer the phone.
Mm-hmm.
Outsource it if you need to over time, or have it at a long-term goal to get people in your life, whether they're employees or whatever, so you can do the stuff that you don't want to do. There's time wasters in everything, and they're all very personal and specific.
We hope you found our content valuable and we appreciate your support. If you have not already, please check out our channel and hit the subscribe button.
And your comments and suggestions help us to create the content you're here for. Hitting the like button helps to support our channel's algorithm and gauge your interest for future shows.